And we just like magically appear from the backstage into the front room. This is awesome.
Here we are on stage.
Yep. Cool. Well, Kelly Bench, we've been chatting backstage for a good 15 minutes now, but I think we're good to go. So you guys ready to dive in and do this thing?
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, let's do it. So thank you everybody for coming today. We're going to talk about how an outbound funnel team supports their team during crunch time. We've had a good amount of time to prepare and talk about this. This is one that I think we're all really excited about. I'm thrilled to have our guests with us today. So let's actually just move right into introductions. Let me make sure. Yes, we did it. Okay, first time on Goldcast. We're nailing it. So thanks. I can't wait to introduce our guests. I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Kyle Bastien. I'm the Director of Business Value at Drift. I work with our existing customers to make sure they are getting tons of value when they partner with Drift to solve some of the challenges that they face and making it easier to buy digitally from themselves. Thrilled to have my guests. Kelly, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, Kelly Justice, Director of Demand Gen and Marketing Operations on the Outreach team. My team is responsible for campaign management, digital marketing, email marketing, marketing ops, and analytics. So work closely within Drift on a day-to-day basis.
And I'm Ben McWilliams. I'm the COO of Outbound Funnel. We're actually Outreach's longest standing and original partner at about 5 years now, and have been partnered with Drift for a bit now. We do a lot of sales integration, tooling, and strategy, and are just really excited about bringing these tools together and really multiplying their capability together.
Yeah, this is really awesome. I'm so glad we have you, Ben, in particular. And Kelly and I go way back. We've been working together for a few years now. And Ben, I'm really excited for you to share the work that you're doing on our two platforms. This is, of course, a group of folks that are joint customers of both Drift and Outreach. And so we're going to talk a little bit about these platforms, but I think y'all already know about that. What we really want to spend some time on is talking about why this integration is so important, kind of the broader context for how to think about where this fits and how you're prioritizing what you're doing to go to market. And then I want to turn over to Ben to spend a good amount of time, going through some of the plays that he runs with Outreach and Drift combined, and some of the nitty-gritty details of setting that up. So I think our goal for this meeting is that you would be able to leave and be able to actually start enabling your teams and setting yourself up in some of the ways, the best-in-class ways that Ben is running it on the Outbound Funnel team. So let's get into it. I'll quickly give you guys a super brief overview of Drift. If I can, again, I think it's a little green bot. Perfect. All right, here we go. So Drift, at Drift, what we believe is that everything starts with a conversation. I know we all operate in a business-to-business setting, but I think it's more helpful to think of it in a business-to-human setting. And so we try to make it easy for people to engage in conversations at all parts in the buyer's journey through our product, the Drift Conversational Cloud. That includes conversational marketing and how we initially engage folks on a website, conversational sales, how we support sales organizations in engaging with buyers during open deal cycles, and of course, how we support existing customers with our conversational service solution. This is all powered by our integration framework, conversational AI, which is proprietary and patented, and the reporting and analytics suite, so you are always better understanding the customer journey and delivering a better buyer experience along that flywheel. That is Drift. Kelly, tell us more about Outreach, and if you dare to, the pitchness tournament that you just emerged from.
I am ready. I am certified. No, I'm super excited to be here to represent the Outreach team. So to give you a quick overview or intro to our offering, Outreach's sales engagement, sales execution platform, we focus on giving you the ability to easily coordinate the entire sales cycle throughout the funnel and create that continuous feedback loop of data to drive the improvements in your day-to-day and be able to guide your sellers to better serve their customers. So we do this through our three core product offerings. We have Outreach Engage, our flagship product, which is what your teams use to drive those touch points and connect with prospects. We also have Outreach Guide, which supports sellers to drive that world-class buying experience. And then we have Outreach Commit that takes all of the data from Engage and Guide and effectively and efficiently forecast and track your pipeline with super confidence. So all of those products are using machine learning to drive efficiency through prospecting playbooks, predictability and deal management, and forecasting, and in turn be able to drive that growth, overall growth for your organization. So yeah, that's a quick intro to outreach in and of itself. But like Kyle and Ben were saying, now why are we here today? So the power of the drift and outreach integration really helps provide, again, that amazing buyer experience to use both platforms. One, turning outreach clicks, email clicks into real-time conversations via drift. And then two, vice versa, enabling real-time follow-up from a drift conversation to an outreach experience. So quick timing, quick, easy buyer experience. And so that integration is empowering this cohesive experience, not just for the buyers in and of themselves, but internally for your sellers, and be able to manage those engagements in real time and create this omni-channel approach. So you can capitalize on all the intent and increase like the likelihood and time to creating those opportunities, what we are all centered around. So like I said before, I know the outreach team really leverages this integration on a daily basis. So I'm excited to hear from Kyle and Ben and kind of share our best practices too. But Kyle, Ben, anything else you want to add here before we dive in?
No, I mean, you nailed it, Kelly. And I'll tell you that our team at Drift uses this all the time as well. We are fully enabled with outreach licenses, and our team is constantly using chats to drive outreach messages and vice versa. So a lot of these plays you described are foundational to how our team goes to market. And I think one of the things you said that I think is so important for like why this is happening right now. And when I think about, our sales reps and our SDRs and BDRs and the folks that use these tools together, you mentioned omni-channel, and I think that's such an important concept right now, because really salespeople and BDRs especially are like mini marketers. Like it's really hard for me to tell what the skill set difference is, because the SDRs and the BDRs and the sales folks, they need to write good copy. They need to send video. They need to be relevant on social. They need to do a lot of the things that marketing organizations are doing as a whole. They're just doing it to a subset of target accounts that they focus on. And while they're doing that, there's a really blurry line that's emerging between, inbound versus outbound. And, we all the time have folks that are outbounding into target accounts who don't respond to the email, but do come to the website and need real-time engagement there. And then we have folks that, are responding to marketing messages and are coming in inbound, but then need follow-up, to secure the meeting or the proper next step and the right step in the journey. And so equipping go-to-market field reps with the right tool set to provide a seamless customer experience, I think, is incumbent on every go-to-market organization right now. And the way our two companies and these two technologies have partnered up to do that is really exciting, and I think driving great results for both of our organizations. And so that's why I'm so excited about this. And Ben, I know you're going in even deeper on this, so I'm really glad to hear your thoughts on this, and would love to get into some of the plays that you're running to do this.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to start really simple, and then in the second half of this, get really, really complex and exacting. But just from the beginning, when I like to think about how these tools get to play together, I like to just sort of think about what they do at their core. That essentially what outreach is doing is it's taking the experience that you could give to a single customer, get all the time in the world to do the absolute perfect job you could do for them, the right amount of time between each step, just keeping up on them exactly the way you would with all the time in the world, the way to do that at scale. So it's really about effortlessly maintaining that perfect and ideal relationship. And what I love about Drift is it's a way to immediately and consistently deliver value, that we can have different offerings served, that somebody can immediately receive help, immediately receive what they need. So we take this basically managing an ideal relationship and give it so much more immediacy, speed, and sort of diversity of offering. So the two together really is the best of both worlds. And I will say this a couple more times throughout the call, but it's one of those situations where the sum of the two is greater than the parts, that these multiply when you put them together. It is not addition, that there are a lot of different ways that this is really going to change things that I'll get into a little later on.
Outstanding. So Ben, should I stop sharing my screen, and do you want to take us through some of the ways that you're doing this?
Actually, let's just go on to the next slide, and then in a moment I'll hop off and we'll do that. So I just wanted to talk about some general integration best practices. Let me see if I'm smart enough to switch the slide. Thank you. Appreciate it. The first thing, and this seems like a no-brainer, but always consider the end-to-end experience. First off, always test it as an end user, probably a given, but the biggest things we're looking for here is these are complex integrations. So if we have a large, drip chat flow, we want to make sure that we have no dead ends. And that's even more important when we start to go between systems. So if something is supposed to trigger an outreach, trigger integration and outreach based off of what happens in drift, we need to be very careful about that, because we want to avoid abandonment. And that is the biggest thing, that we need to be very mindful and diligent when we do this, because like with any powerful tool, it's important to be careful. That said, it's very easy to set up. So this is more about mindfulness. It's more about having the approach and follow through, that this isn't something you want to start and then not quite finish, that having a working process, right, basically having a partially working process, you might as well just have a no process at all. So you really want follow through on these. The other thing is that when we're thinking about that end-to-end customer experience, we have to remember that if somebody lands on your website, hits your Drift chatbot, and they don't get a phone call in the next 5 minutes, chances are they're on your competitor's website on their chatbot trying to get that very same phone call. That if you don't reach them in the first 5 minutes, you pretty much cut your chance of closing that deal in half. And that's actually a real statistic. It's very much in half with that first 5 minutes. So to be able to have no to call them based off of what happens in drift or based off of what happens in outreach to immediately be able to chat with them, it's a very important thing to be able to have that immediacy. So management of relationship as well as immediacy. The next one still builds on that idea of complete process, always complete, no dead ends. So get buy-in, document, and frequently audit. The main challenge that I tend to see with these types of projects is that they end up 75% complete. So we've got all these people being funneled in a great way, and they're filtered, and we know exactly what needs to happen to them. And 1/3 goes here and something great happens, and 1/3 goes here and something great happens. And then there's another group that is just stuck in limbo. And a lot of that comes from the fact that we change leaders frequently, we change admins frequently, and we change process frequently. So it's very important to make sure leaders are bought into this, recognize the values, that this is documented. So if somebody does leave a role, that we can still keep it working consistently, and to just frequently audit the process. In case we've changed one system or the other, we just want to make sure that we're maintaining that end-to-end cohesive customer experience. And again, building on that, again, also do feel free to just reach out with questions in the chat. We have plenty of time here. I think everyone else would learn from your questions as well. So definitely no pressure. I won't even call out who asked them. So the next one, continuity, relationships, and recency bias. The biggest thing that we need to remember here is that it's about maintaining that consistent relationship with our customer. That's what both of these products are all about. So it's even more important that we do that throughout the entire integration so that we can build these positive relationships. Because if we think about recency bias, most studies that I have seen essentially say that 3 days, that's about the max we're going to want to do in any sales cycle. I mean, it does vary a bit from industry to industry, but if I call somebody and leave a voicemail, if they get my email 2 days later and they've heard that voicemail, they're going to remember who I am, and vice versa. But if I've had this nice 7 steps in a row, and then I leave them abandoned for 5 or 6 days because I haven't set up my integration properly, I've really just erased all the good work I've done so far. So that's what I really love about this, that this takes the immediacy of chat and makes it cohesive with the long-term nurturing flow, or vice versa, that we're really taking 2 different types of interaction integration and making one cohesive one end to end. The other one I wanted to say is I see a lot of sales leaders, and I love the enthusiasm for automation. Automation is wonderful, But a lot of times I see people eager to automate people out of this process. And I don't think that that is always the best idea. That yes, we want to make sure that the system is able to immediately reach out. We want to make sure that we're going quick, and that does take automation. But there is a bit of a desire I've seen from people to basically say, well, what if it was just the chatbot straight to a fully automated outreach sequence? And I think if you do that, you're really missing out, because I think both of these tools work very, very well with human interaction and human, humanity built into it. That if we have our people answering specific to drift chats based off of what is being served there, suddenly we get that more personalized touch. Just because we want to immediately put somebody into a sequence directly from a drift chat doesn't mean that we don't also want to have manual emails in that sequence, phone calls, LinkedIn touches. So there's always this idea to kind of force it off into a corner and make it a marketing function, or make it an all robot sales function. And I want to just encourage people to resist that urge, that this is not just integration and automation. This integration should act as a critical element of your workflow process, that we want people and their ability to understand each other, to emote, to show humanity, empathy, sense of humor. These are the things that close deals and build relationships. So please don't cut the people out of this. Your customers love the people. This is a way to get the customers to the reps, not a way to just outsource the sales process to automation. That is not what we want to do. There are elements of that, but we want to be careful about that. The next thing is, I recommend, if you are building automations, to start to stack those automations, or even have a cascading automation where the automation triggers another. So a lot of things, like when we're building triggers within outreach, yes, I could add somebody to a sequence based off of what they said in a drift conversation. But in addition to adding them to the sequence, I could tag them. In addition to doing that, I could build another task to double check on them to make sure they are in the same sequence. So essentially, or I could even, once they chat me, have an automation to take the other people from that company who are currently being sequenced by me out of sequence. So I'm just talking to an individual instead of spamming their whole org. That don't just think one step of automation is enough. There are always ways to layer. So whenever something happens, we can start a chain reaction within either product. And again, I guess you're recognizing the theme of these starting to build to one another. It was hard after using stacking to find a good word, but I went with woven product integrations. Really, the idea here is, yes, these two integrate together, but this integration should be the backbone of all your other integrations as well. So, I also partner with Sendoso, and they basically just send small gifts, but I could make that part of an outreach sequence, but that also means that I can trigger it from Drift now. So suddenly now Drift is integrated with Sendoso. So anything I can integrate with either product can all come together. So the moment you say a certain thing, they're interested in one of my sub products, I can send you a branded coffee mug with that product, as well as calling you. Silly little things like that do make the difference. Anything that you can integrate with either product is now a part of this cohesive suite. So you now have immediacy, you have relationship management, you have consistent, very, very easy reporting that will allow you to incrementally and iteratively improve exactly how you're interacting with these people. So I don't want you to think that this is an integration we have. This is the integration that everything else integrates into. I know I'm saying integration a lot, but I think you get the idea that it's about making it a cohesive product, that you are not presenting different products to your team. Your process is the product, and that should encompass all of this. So it's basically saying your tech stack is the product you're delivering to your internal users, and this should drive how everything else integrates in. All right, so that's a lot of top level stuff. Any questions right off the bat before I get really technical into some of the fun things you can actually build? All right, then I'll just jump right in. Let me see, I'm gonna stop sharing and then share.
Ben, while you're setting that up, I really love that last point that you made, because I think, we're all in the experience business and providing great engagement with customers in real time. And it can be easy to get kind of lost in the details of integrations like this. And I think the truth is that like all of our customers don't care about drift or outreach or Sendoso or anything like that. You know, they want to make sure the experience is great, and hopefully they don't see any of that. They don't see any of that friction as we enter the matrix.
Yeah, I was going to say this is the forever loop. I can't really come over here without doing this, but I wanted to first just click in this quick link, and then I'll get back out of there. One quick thing, I am not going to cover setting up the integration, and that is for one very simple reason. If you take that link that I just chatted to you, and you have somebody who's an admin of both systems click on it, when they click Connect Outreach, which is where that takes them, congratulations, you just finished connecting it. It is that easy, and that is really all there is to it. So with that said, just connecting them, that just makes it possible to start doing these, this automation. But really, it's about what we can do once it's connected, because just connecting it is allowing me to have the tools to start to build these triggers. So for those of you who are outreach admins, triggers are definitely one of the more advanced features. I'd say that they're not hard to build, but it's hard to conceptualize the idea for how to build them. So as you use them more and more, you'll get more comfortable. But essentially what they are is just distinct units of automation. So I'm going to start with a couple simple ones that we can start to do. So actually, I'll just start with new before anything else. So if I just go to add, obviously I have different ways that I can kick off this trigger. The event, which for lack of a better word is the trigger's trigger, but it's what starts it. So the moment you make this integration, before I could say, all right, if a prospect is created and their title is CEO, put them in the CEO sequence, that type of thing. Or if I log a call and I leave a voicemail, something should happen there. But now we get these options here that are drift-based criteria, so we can pretty much build any type of automation that we want off of these. So our initiating events or triggers are inbound message. So the moment we receive a message on drift, we can also add criteria to say specific things about that message. The moment a new conversation is initiated, the moment a meeting is booked, or the moment an outbound message has been sent. And then we have a lot of other actions that we can complete through outreach. So add someone to a sequence, flag them with a tag, create a task, and that could be a reminder to email them, a reminder to call them, or just a simple task that basically says, hey, take a look at the other people in this account and see if this is really the right person. You can be pretty creative with these. Also stop other sequences or set really any field on a prospect. Let me get into some of the ones I've already built just for this demo. So over here, and yes, the names are long. I very much recommend long names because when you have 40 triggers, you don't want to click into each one to know what they do. So this one is a drift related one that creates a follow-up task on an inbound drift message. So what I can do here, I've got my event the moment an inbound message comes in. I've got my target right here. That's who I want to make a change to, so the prospect. And the conditions, because a condition is required, but I want this to happen to all prospects, email is a required field in outreach. So I just say they have to have an email because that will include everyone. I could add additional account conditions. Maybe I only want to do this for people who have a certain revenue, certain company size. Really, that's going to be completely specific to your own business case, but know that you can put those conditions in there as well. And you could also layer a bunch of prospect conditions, specific title, company revenue, those types of things. And then you'll notice here, I practiced what I preached. I am stacking automation actions. So the first thing that happens is we add a tag. So I'm tagging them as saying that they came into outreach with a drift inbound message. So later on, I could search and find everybody who that was true about and report on them. And I also am creating a task to call them. It's just basically reminding me to follow up and call them. But I could also do some more actions. So maybe let's say set a field. We're going to set a field. Let's see if I've got source in this org. I do. So source, drift inbound chat. So I can start to layer these as much as I want. I've got some more layering on a couple of the other ones I've built though. So I'm going to keep moving on here just because I'm pretty excited about these and want to show you all of them. Drift reminder to engage when a new convo is initiated. Again, you see I'm going pretty heavy on the stacking here. Now we're using the new conversation. So somebody first just initiates contact with you, starts a drift conversation, a drift chat with you. I'm targeting the prospect again, but don't forget, I could target the account as well. So I could maybe label the account and say that a member of their team had contacted me on Drift. Again, same criteria, just making sure the prospect is real, their email is not empty. And so here, I'm just creating an action item task that basically says, someone is trying to have a conversation with you on Drift, engage immediately. Now, Drift will actually notify them as well. So this is very much redundant, but I just like to use it to show that we can have a diverse array of task types that we can use. This could be any sort of reminder that you'd want. Right here, setting the stage to assigned. So at this point, they've actually been assigned to an individual. We're reaching out to them, tagging them that we're approaching them through Drift, and setting the source to Drift again. So stacking those different trigger actions. I think I have one more simple one before things get really, really fun. Well, two more. Let's say I booked a new meeting with them through Drift. Well, they booked a new meeting with me through Drift more correctly. I'm just going to trigger it once per target just because I only want to send this reminder out. So essentially, I'm trying to say, okay, you've booked a meeting with you. I need to let you know that's happening. Just a quick reminder, hey, excited about meeting. Here are the topics we're going to be discussing. Here's what I'd like to demo for you. So this one gets a bit more interesting. So they've booked a meeting. I'm now talking to them, but Outreach doesn't yet know I'm talking to them. So while we know Outreach will never talk over you, so the moment somebody books a meeting with you, out of the sequence. Moment somebody answers a call from you, out of the sequence. The moment somebody replies to your email, they're out of the sequence. But it doesn't yet know that because that Drift chat happened, we want them out of the sequence. Easy fix though. Right here, trigger action. I just stopped all sequence for this prospect. The moment they book that meeting with me in Drift, Outreach says, hold on, they're about to have a meeting with me. Let's make sure we're not just hitting them up with some more sequences still. Tag them as Drift meeting set, because why not? I'd love to report on that or be able to find those people later. Then I added them to a sequence. So they've been removed from all other sequences. And now I added them to Drift meeting booked reminder follow-up. I could have this from the prospect owner's mailbox, usually appropriate. Or if you just wanted one person to manage these, I could just say, okay, from now on, Bryce is going to be managing all these Drift folks. But again, adding them to sequence. So now they'll be reminded that we have the meeting coming up. One quick thing to note, these happen in order. So if you have a stop all sequences and then add them to a sequence, probably want the stop all sequences higher up, or it's going to stop them all, as you can tell. And then for the stage, I can set the stage to kicking off with a rep. So I'm tracking where they are in a customer journey based off of the actions they've taken in Drift and how they contextually impact Outreach. All right, one more simple one, and then it's going to get really interesting. This one's just adding them to a follow-up sequence based off of an inbound message. So again, when an inbound message comes in, tag them as inbound message, add them to the sequence Drift inbound. Pretty straightforward one. All right, now the fun one. When I talk about cascading automation, this is very much what I'm talking about. Triggers can trigger each other as long as you're creative and careful about it. The most classic example of this is the common Outreach two-part trigger of, if I book a meeting with somebody, I would like everybody related to that account to have their sequences stopped. And that's not possible with one trigger, because that's impacting 3 different objects across each other. You don't want that to be possible with a trigger. We like that these are simple. So the way we end up doing that based off of a Drift chat is actually a 3-trigger process. So probably the most complex trigger automation I've ever created, but actually simple when we break it down. So really the goal of these 3 triggers is to remove all prospects from the sequence. I guess I should have added when a meeting is booked with a prospect. So this first one here, new meeting is booked through Drift. I'm targeting this prospect. I've got their email, that it's not blank, and then I've got a few trigger actions. I want to tag them as Drift meeting set, obviously, just so I know. create a task to review other prospects and make sure that we're following up with the right one. I'm going to add them to a reminder sequence, and then I'm going to set custom for as true. I just use that as a holder. I probably should have labeled that. My apologies. Essentially, that one is just going to show that they are within that's basically just the flag on that individual. So if I head back over to triggers again. Okay, there we go. That was custom for. My apologies. Hold on. It just didn't catch the name there. So that custom for is basically just whether or not it was added from Drift. So over here, we do say Drift meeting booked. That's what we just flagged. So we flagged it as Drift meeting booked is true. And now essentially what we're trying to do, first off, we flagged the prospect saying that it happened. Now what we want to do is flag the account so that the third trigger can then, based off of the account being flagged, remove the rest of the prospects from the sequence. But you'll notice, just in case we don't want to do that, I already had a task right here to review the other prospects and follow up with any who have booked meetings. So this is just a real quick check-in to say, yes, we are stopping everything now that we're talking to this one person, but make sure there weren't any other people that were pretty far along and somewhat warm already. Excuse me. So again, back to the second one. Based off of that meeting flag, this time we're actually updating the account. So we tagged it as Drift meeting set, and then we set that one of Drift meeting set on the account object as true. And then our third and final trigger, and thank you for anyone who's still paying attention because this is a long one. Now, every time the account is updated and the target is all prospects, so again, we want to stop everyone but the person we're talking to so we can be focused in our effort and not seem spammy. Now, when the account is changed so that Drift meeting booked is true, we tag it as Drift meeting set, and it stops all sequences for all prospects. So essentially, this first one says, all right, you have the meeting. We're setting a follow-up meeting. We're flagging you as you came in from Drift, and we're marking that. Second one, because you came in from Drift, we're flagging the account to say that you came in and booked a meeting from Drift. And then the third one is saying, because somebody from the account booked a meeting with Drift, we want everyone else who's in it to pause in their sequences while we work this one individual. And I know that was a lot to throw at you. And I know nobody's just going to go right out after this meeting and just build that trigger. I mean, if you want to email me, I'll just send you screenshots of it. Totally don't mind. But the biggest thing I wanted to show here is that, yes, you can do a lot with a single trigger. But if you start to get creative and stack these triggers, the possibilities, I don't want to be corny and say limitless, but the ceiling on what is possible is shockingly high. And I really think you should just shoot the moon, start testing these and having fun with them. Especially because I didn't even get into the fact that I could add another action that's Sendoso related and start sending gifts and that type of thing because it's connected to one of my other orgs. But all these other integrations that you have, Vidyard, you want to pull in some Vidyard content? Go ahead. Sendoso, you want to send some gifts? Go ahead. You want to tag in some of your videos from Outreach Kaya because you think they went pretty well and you want to show another team member? Absolutely. So my biggest thing here is that with triggers, everything is incredibly flexible already. But once you've brought Drift in there, you take that flexibility and add immediacy that just isn't there before, that is cross-platform with really all of your integrations. Oh God, sorry, it's the pit of forever. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. And that's really what I love about it, that it is incredibly flexible. It is granular. What I like to do is I tell my leadership, ask me for things that you don't believe are possible, because it is hard to come up with the idea for a trigger, but not hard to build one. So all you really need to say is, if Outreach and Drift could do anything, cook dinner, wash your car, shingle your house, I don't know, but ask them, if this person does something, what are all the things that you want for your team to do to them? And we're just going to see how much of that can be instantaneous and automated, with the one caveat of anything that's going to be building the relationship actually having human hands and human eyes on it. And I mean, that's just scratching the surface of what is possible. That's all we're going to cover today, because I think that's it got pretty technical, but that's why I'm really excited about this, and why I think the two tools together really just drive things forward. And thank you.
Well done, Ben. That was amazing. I love that everything you showed, like to your point, like the sky's the limit. You can do a million things. I don't know if we can shingle houses yet, but we're coming pretty close based on what you were showing. But everything you're doing is just around like the details of the customer experience. Like it's the subtle things, like, oh, they booked a meeting, let's make sure they don't get a weird email. And like, is that weird email gonna like ruin the deal? Probably not, but it's that like hyper focus on just that seamless customer experience that is hard to remember to do if you rely on a large team of human beings doing that kind of thing manually every single time. Mm-hmm. So the way you've stitched together the process to kind of reduce those like little human administrative errors that probably happen all the time in aim of creating a great customer experience was really cool to see. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the goal of bringing these two together, it's to create a human experience at scale. And it's just a very tenuous and delicate thing. And it's all based on trust. So strongly agree that it's all about that end user experience.
Yeah, I was over here taking notes along the way. Oh, wait, hold on. All the little details really make a true impact for your team. So I enjoyed all the details.
Thank you.
So Ben, let me ask you, like let's say we do this, all right? We got, some joint customers that go and set this stuff up. How do we know if it's working? And I don't mean from like a technical standpoint, we know it's going to do that, but like, how are we measuring whether this kind of thing is driving impact in our business? Where should we look for those kind of results?
I'd say the biggest thing is time to contact. I mean, obviously we care about conversion rates. We're always going to be looking at that anyway. We're going to see conversion rates go up. We're going to see meetings booked go up. We're going to see all those traditional sales metrics that are on all our leaderboards go up pretty quickly. But the biggest thing we want to pay attention to that will really be driving the rest of those is time to interaction, but more specifically, time to value. That it's not enough to just be like, hello, we've received your message. We want to have this fleshed out so we are giving them something that matters to them. How quickly can we deliver them a phone call? How quickly can we deliver them a relevant white paper? How quickly can we get them into an appropriate sequence? It's about giving them something that they want. It's about, I guess I can say it as many ways as I want, but delivering value is the right way to say it. It's giving them something that actually will have intrinsic value, because we don't want to just sell what's on the back of the truck. No one cares. We want to say, I've looked at you, and because of your situation, this is what you need, because I understand what you need. And we can even automate that, which is wonderful.
I love that. I know a lot of folks, I hear people talk about like a reduction in sales cycle length as a value driver for things that they invest in and go to market, but that's only tracking once they become an opportunity to when they buy. And I think what you're talking about is before then, from some of the first like outreach, the first website visits to the time when they see value with their organization. And that's lost. That's not contained really in the shortened sales cycle length statistic that you hear so often. So I think that's a really insightful way of thinking about it.
Yeah, it's how quickly can we get them into that cycle? How quickly can we be relevant to them?
Yeah, and I'm going to add too, the way that outreach it is like Ben said, the time to contact. The other part too of what we look at is the coverage as well. So as you have your visitors on your website, one, how quickly, but are you covering all of them with the automation, with the integration, any abandoned chats or anyone who maybe didn't book a meeting yet? So it's also the coverage of those that have engaged, how quickly you can get to them, and are you contacting them and that at that time of engagement too.
Outstanding. I'm getting our 5-minute warning notification in the chat here. Are there any final thoughts, Ben, that you want to set us out with?
Customer always comes first. Never half finish a process. Never half finish a process. That something that's incomplete is 10 times worse than something that wasn't built. These things are delicate. It's if we are going to respect the customer, we need to build them all the way out end to end with a cohesive strategy. They're not hard to build, but it is important to follow through. Follow through was the most key thing here, because that's going to be the biggest indication of customer experience, that any of those little awkward emails or anything, that's just going to erode our trust. And it doesn't take much. Trust is glass, and it's not easy to rebuild.
Very well said. Couldn't agree more. Kelly, anything else you want to say? I don't think we've got any. We don't have any questions from the audience, so we can take this out in whatever direction you care to.
Yeah, I think my final thought would be don't be overwhelmed. There's so much that you can do, and build it to scale. Think about what works for your business. Start small and then build up, and build it to scale, and reach the level that Ben and his team are at today. So it can be a bit overwhelming with all the things you can do, but just start small and you'll get comfortable with it, and then build up.
Strongly agree.
That's what I was going to say as well. I think that's, like these kinds of things, like it's like training or anything else, when you see it in a forum like this, you're getting exposed to it. I think the most important thing is to make a start of it. But then, Ben, to your point, like don't start something you can't finish. So, take a small bite, find one thing that you're going to want to do, get it right, user test it end to end, make sure it works, and then start seeing how it's impacting results in the customer experience. And that's how you get the flywheel turning. So,
yep.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. Kelly, always a pleasure. It's great to have the outreach team on with us again. I've really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you guys both for coming today. And I think we can send it out. Look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.
Likewise. Thanks for hosting. Really appreciate being invited.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
And thanks everyone for showing up. Have a great day.